Dear comrades, in 3 weeks, close to 400 million voters in 28 European countries will be called upon to elect a new European Parliament. Only a fraction of those eligible to vote will actually go to the polls. And it is predicted that political parties rejecting the European Union will obtain a record result. These are mainly parties of a far right-wing character, opposing the European Union from a nationalist point of view and promoting chauvinism. They profit from the fact that every other bourgeois party, including the alleged left-wing variety like Syriza in Greece and Die Linke in Germany, are defending the European Union. These allegedly left-wing parties claim that the European Union offers protection against the return of national conflicts, war, dictatorship, and all the horrors that haunted Europe in the 20th century. What a fraud. In reality, the European Union is the main instrument for inciting social divisions, fostering national antagonisms, and developing authoritarian forms of rule. The entire history of the European Union has confirmed the Marxist view articulated by Leon Trotsky in 1917 that, I quote, a halfway complete and consistent economic union of Europe coming from the top by means of an agreement of the capitalist governments is sheer utopia. The economic union of Europe, Trotsky continued, which offers colossal advantages to producer and consumer alike, and in general to the whole cultural development, becomes the revolutionary task of the European proletariat in its fight against imperialist protectionism and its instrument, militarism. The European Union does not represent the unity of the European peoples, but rather the dictatorship of the most powerful economic, financial interests over Europe. It forms the framework in which the European powers organize their attacks on the working class, carry out their conflicts, and plan their wars. Since the financial crash of 2008, Brussels, at the instigation of Berlin, has imposed brutal austerity measures on Greece, Spain, Portugal, and Ireland. It has condemned millions to unemployment and poverty, destroyed education, health, and old age benefit, and left the young generation without a prospect for their future. The countries of Eastern Europe, which joined the European Union exactly 10 years ago, have been transformed into cheap labor platforms for international corporations. They have gone through countless rounds of privatizations and cutbacks in social services, which have left the entire public infrastructure in shambles. Next on the list of social counter-revolution are France and Italy. The European Union Commission, the financial press, and all the other mouthpieces for the international financial aristocracy are insisting that whatever is left of the hard-won social gains of the post-war period must be destroyed. Germany, supposedly Europe's strongest economy, is no exception from this assault on the working class. Already now, one in three works in precarious conditions, 1 in 4 is without a full-time job, and 1 in 6 is at risk of poverty. The resurgence of German militarism and the war drive in Ukraine are a direct result of these mounting antagonisms. Faced with growing social opposition, a deepening economic crisis, the menace of a collapsing euro, and the threat of disintegrating European Union, German imperialism is repudiating the constraints on militarism imposed because of its crimes in the Second World War. As in 1914 and in the 1930s, confronted with insoluble economic and social contradictions, it resorts again to militarism and war. In the past, Germany's dominant role in the European Union was mainly based on its economic strengths. In future, it will throw around its military weight to maintain its dominant role. The growth of militarism will expose even more openly the reactionary character of the European Union. Previously, it was mainly defined by economic issues, such as the free movement of capital and goods and the common currency. In future, the struggle against the common enemy will replace economics as the basis of the EU's internal cohesion. Given the huge costs of rearmament and the massive popular opposition, the turn to militarism will inevitably be accompanied by further attacks on the social and democratic rights of the working class. The European Union already plays the leading role in promoting the structure of a police state. Edward Snowden has revealed that the secret services of Britain, Germany, and France are closely collaborating with their American partners in spying on millions of people in Europe and all over the world. Europol and other European police agencies have built massive databases controlling the whereabouts and personal details of millions of European citizens. And the borders of Europe have been transformed into a fortress where thousands of refugees die every year. Years of austerity and the emergence of militarism have exposed the utterly reactionary character of what was once wrongly called the European labour movement. That is, of the social democratic parties, the misnamed communist parties, and the trade unions. 100 years ago, the leading parties of the Second International betrayed their anti-war program and supported their respective ruling class in the First World War. Today, there is nothing the Social Democrats can betray. Programmatically and in practice, they are unreservedly pledged to militarism and attacks on the working class. 10 years ago, German Chancellor Gerhard Schröder, a Social Democrat, set the European benchmark for attacks on workers' rights and conditions with his Agenda 2010. Now, SPD Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier is leading the campaign for the resurgence of German militarism. In Italy, the successors of the former Communist Party have pledged to overhaul all the social gains won by Italian workers in decades of bitter struggle. Prime Minister Matteo Renzi is the darling of the corporate heads, the financial swindlers, and the banks. In France, Socialist Party President François Hollande has reacted to the latest electoral defeat by nominating the most right-wing figure in his party, Prime Minister. Manuel Valls' mission consists of intensifying the war on the working class and making chauvinist appeals. This will inevitably strengthen the neo-fascist National Front. This is not an unwanted side effect, but a consciously pursued political goal. Hollande would rather accept a National Front government than make any concession to the mounting opposition of the working class. The attacks on workers prepared by Valls cannot be carried out with democratic methods. the ruling class increasingly toys with the idea of calling upon the fascists to suppress the class struggle. This is not limited to France. The support of a fascist-led coup in Kiev by the European Union marks a sea change in this regard. The Social Democrats have the full support of the trade unions. They are no longer workers' organizations, but privileged bureaucratic apparatuses. Their officials are handsomely paid to sell out workers. Today, every dismissal, wage cut and plant closure bears their signature. When they cannot completely prevent protests and strikes, they make sure that they lead nowhere. An especially repugnant role is played by parties like Die Linke in Germany, the Front de Gauche in France, or Syriza in Greece. They are closely tied to the trade unions. They do everything in their power to prevent the working class from building its own independent revolutionary party. Occasionally, they employ left phrases to deceive workers, but in practice, they are unconditionally defending capitalism and the European Union. Our movement is utterly hostile to these forces and differs from them in every way. We reject the European Union and all its undemocratic institutions, including the European Parliament. Our answer to the European Union are the United Socialist States of Europe. This is not just a slogan, but the basis of a revolutionary socialist program. Working people all over Europe are opposing the destruction of their livelihoods and opposing the danger of war. We fight to unite them in a common struggle against capitalism. We stand against every form of anti-immigrant chauvinism, racism, and nationalism, including the advocacy of separatism in Scotland, Catalonia, Northern Italy, and Belgium. It only sows further divisions between workers at a time when a united struggle against the common enemy is essential. We advocate the formation of workers' governments in every country and unification of Europe on a socialist basis. This is the only way to prevent the decline of Europe into nationalism and war, and to create the conditions for utilizing and developing its extensive resources and productive forces in the interest of society as a whole. The Socialist Equality Party in Britain and the Partei für soziale Gleichheit in Germany are standing in the European elections to fight for this program and to build sections of the International Committee of the Fourth International all over Europe. Thank you.